The Queen of the Skies carrier is unfortunately slowly coming to an end, but we will keep it alive as much as possible throughout our videos. Today we came up with the top 10 Boeing 747 unknown facts. I tried to gather some of the craziest unknown details no one knows about this legendary airplane, so stick with me until the end because some of the items from this top 10 are definitely going to blow your mind. Number 10. The 747 has flown over 121.5 billion kilometers. That's right, the 747 has flown the equivalent of 57 billion nautical miles. This is equal to 137,000 trips from the Earth to the Moon and back. In terms of passenger numbers since 1970, the jumbo jet has flown over 5.9 billion people all around the world. This is almost 80% of the world's population. Nowadays, fewer and fewer airlines use it to fly passengers on scheduled routes. However, the Queen of the Skies perfectly fulfills the second role it has been designed for, freight. Due to the high payload it can carry, its efficiency, and high profit margins, the 747 is still operational as a cargo aircraft in 2022, while many airliners from the 70s are long gone. Number 9. The 747 was the first wide-bodied commercial aircraft. Back in the late 60s, the founder of Pan Am, Juan Trippe, challenged Boeing to build an aircraft that would be at least twice as big as the 707, which was at that time the most common airliner. Pan Am's plan was to come up with a bigger aircraft carrying more passengers to operate more efficiently at the bigger airports that were becoming congested due to the increasingly larger traffic. Boeing ended up with the 747 project, the first wide-body airliner in the world with 2 aisles in the cabin. The 747 was 2.5 times bigger than the 707, and because of this impressive size, they needed new facilities to build it. So Boeing created the Everett factory near Seattle, which remains until today the largest building in the world by volume, with 13.3 million cubic meters. Number 8. Why doesn't the 747 have a full upper deck? Actually, Boeing's initial plan was to build the 747 with the upper deck stretching the entire length of the fuselage. The main reason why this idea was thrown out was that the 2 decks wouldn't have been able to be evacuated in the mandatory 90 seconds or less for airworthiness certification. The other reason is that the ceiling of both decks would have been much lower, making cargo operations less convenient and more restrictive. Knowing that Boeing designed the 747 for both passenger and cargo operations, they needed to make sure the aircraft had appealing features for cargo operators too. Number 7. Some impressive technical features. I find it funny to know that a 747 has 6 million parts, and half of them are fasteners. Additionally, if all the 747's wiring would be unfolded and placed end-to-end, you'd have 274 kilometers of wiring, which is almost the driving distance from Paris to Brussels. Like many new aircraft, the 747 also had a lot of technical problems. One of the most problematic issues was the high-speed flutter in the wings, which was offset by putting depleted uranium counterweights in the outboard engine nacelles. These internal parts of the flight controls were also fitted to the rudder, and in total, some 1,500 kilograms of uranium in the form of counterweights were found on the 747. This was a big problem if a 747 were to crash, as the uranium would irradiate a lot of people around the crash area. That's exactly what was found after the Amsterdam crash of a 747 in 1992, after which plenty of local people from the crash area started experiencing very strange and painful diseases. Make sure to click on the like button if you like this video so far. Thank you for the support, and let's keep going. Number 6. The 747 carried the greatest number of passengers ever. Another record-breaking event involving the 747 is the time when it carried 1,088 passengers at once back in May 1991. In fact, the aircraft departed with 1,086 passengers, but 2 babies were born during that flight, so it landed with slightly more passengers than it took off with. This was during Operation Solomon, which consisted of the evacuation of Ethiopian Jews from Addis Ababa. This operation lasted for 36 hours, and in total, 33 El Al 747s and Israeli Air Force Hercules C-130s were used to rescue 14,325 people. The typical seating capacity of the jumbo jet was between 350 and 400 passengers, so all the seats were removed to accommodate as many passengers as possible for the rescue mission. Number 5. The cabin of the 747 is more impressive than you think. The most distinctive feature of the jumbo jet is definitely its hump. 14 stairs lead to the upper deck, which has the same surface as the Boeing 737. Back in the golden days, airlines used the hump to provide various luxuries such as lounges, bars, and restaurants. Nowadays, these luxuries have been replaced by more passenger seats to increase airlines' profit margins, even though these seats are usually business or first class. The lower deck's front part is very exciting for passengers as well, knowing that they're seated below and ahead of the flight deck. It is a must to experience flying on 747's 1 Alpha seat. In fact, it allows the passengers seated there to see ahead of the aircraft due to the curvature of the nose. The combi version of the 747 is also very interesting as it accommodates both passengers and cargo on the same level. Very often, you could have horses or other animals flying just behind you, with the cabin crew often letting the passengers visit the livestock mid-flight. Number 4. Boeing 747's competition. In fact, the Queen of the Skies never really had direct competition. The 747 was and remains unique even today. The main rival of the 747 is definitely the A380, the Airbus full double-deck aircraft. The Airbus A380 took off 30 years after the 747, but the 747 was never beaten by the Airbus equivalent in terms of popularity and success. In March 2021, the last 380 was finished, marking the end of the program at Airbus. Except for Emirates, very few other airlines still fly the A380, mainly due to the pandemic crisis, but there are plenty of airlines still flying the 747 for both cargo and passenger flights. Number 3. Boeing 747 cockpit facts. With over 980 controls, instruments, and switches in the original version's flight deck, the aircraft is very intimidating. 3 flight crew members were needed to bring the aircraft in the air, and about 15 flight attendants to take care of the passengers. Later on, when the glass cockpit displays were introduced on the 747-400, the number of flight crew went from 3 to only 2, and the number of instruments and switches went down approximately 365. The 747's cockpit is very high from the ground in comparison to other commercial aircraft. The reason is that this configuration allows the cargo nose to be easily opened to load freight, which is another unique feature of the 747. Number 2. The best cargo capabilities on the market. At the time, the 747 was still a project. Other manufacturers were focused on developing supersonic passenger aircraft that would quickly make the 747 obsolete. Therefore, Boeing felt that they needed to design the 747 in such a way that if it fails to become a successful passenger airliner, it will at least be a potentially great freighter. Therefore, they have it designed with only half of an upper deck to allow bigger cargo to be loaded into the lower deck. They have fitted the 747 with a quick nose door opening system that would allow easy loading of approximately 130 tons of cargo. This particular versatility is exactly what made the 747 last for more than 50 years and still counting. And here we go to the number 1 of these top 10 Boeing 747 unknown facts. If you're enjoying this video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button because I'm making more videos just like this. Number 1. There are about 20 variants of the 747. Throughout the years, the 747 has become such an amazing aircraft that after its operational life as a passenger aircraft, many companies and organizations wanted the old aircraft to be repurposed for something else. That's why you will see many 747 test beds still flying nowadays. Out of 1,500 747s ever built, some of them have also become flying weapons, research labs, and many more. We have 2 videos on our channel about the top 10 modified Boeing 747s. For that reason, I will not spoil you too much in this section, and I kindly invite you to watch those videos that will truly amaze you. Drop a comment telling which other 747 facts you know. Want to watch more aviation top 10s? Click on any of the videos that you see on your screen right now, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.